Alright guys, I thought it was finally time to bring you my video where I explain what's next for myself after I sold the GTR. So for those of you who are not aware, which will be very few people, because most people who see this will probably be coming from Instagram, you know that I sold the GTR. I talked about it in my last video that I was planning on selling the GTR, and it went through and it actually sold fairly quickly. I didn't have to post it to any full websites or marketplaces or anything like that. Got a pretty good price for it, and I'm really happy with the sale. And ironically, I haven't been missing it at all. Like it's weird, absolutely, because I go outside I'm used to turning out and seeing my GTR parked there, and then my Lancer parked next to it, and it's weird not seeing that. I don't really miss it though, because I'll talk about that in a minute, but I don't miss it. Hasn't been sad for me yet, and it's been almost a week. So we'll see what happens. I might get sad in the future, but I've gone lengths of time without the car before without really getting sad at all. So we'll see what happens. But basically, I want to talk about 3 things in this video, so you can kind of skip around if you don't want to hear certain things or if you're here to hear a certain thing. The first reason is I'm going to do a very quick brief on why I sold the car. Second thing is what's next for me in terms of cars. And then the third thing is what's next in terms for, like, what am I going to do when it comes to my Instagram page, my YouTube page, everything like that, especially when it comes to my name. Ryan Pat T GTR is kind of what I go by. So the first section of why I sold the car is actually really simple. And I talked about this again in my last video. Really, the best way to put it is I haven't been enjoying the car up here in Washington at all, because the car scene up here is just really not great. The weather here is not great most times of the year to drive around and actually have fun with the car. Most of the driving that I do is during the week when there's tons of traffic. So even when I would drive the car, I would be lucky to get it above the speed limit. And I just really wasn't enjoying it for how much money the car was not only worth in terms of like insurance, but also in terms of opportunity cost, because as soon as I sold the car, I basically put all of that money, or most of that money, into stocks. And so that kind of goes into something that I talked about before, where basically I run an investing server, which is always linked down in the description if you're ever interested in joining. And if you ever want to find out what I purchased with the money that I sold the GTR, or the money that I got for selling the GTR, sorry, then you can join the Discord link down in the description below, and you can check it out there, because that's where I share basically what I buy. But I did want to get really heavy into investing because I do have much higher goals down the road, and for not enjoying the car as much as I should be or could be, I thought it would be better to invest the money, let that money grow instead of depreciate because it's sitting in the value of a car, let it grow in stocks, and then down the road, get into more important, bigger stuff. And down the road, absolutely, I will buy a GTR again, because I love R35s. I think they're the best car that's ever been created. It's the best looking car. I love the performance capabilities. I love the potential of it. It's just absolutely a phenomenal car, top to bottom, front to back, inside and out. And so I will 100% get another one down the road, but it just seemed like a smarter move. A lot of people are really curious about it. It really boils down to that. I feel like I could do a lot better with the money. I haven't been enjoying the car scene here. And so essentially the future plan for me is I'm going to be investing really hard, investing aggressively, trying to grow the Discord server, hoping to get to a point where I can do that stuff full time, and then move back to Houston where the car scene is a lot better, and then get back into cars, get back into everything, buy a fancy car, buy something cool, and then get back into enjoying the actual cars and the car scene. That's kind of the tentative plan for now. And again, if you want to see what I buy, see what I'm getting into, I always share that stuff in my Discord linked down in the description below. The second portion of the video is just going to be what's next for me in terms of cars. And so there's a few tentative plans in place. My goal, my absolute goal, is once I am done investing, or not done investing, but once I've really grown my investment portfolio and I can have my assets pay for my cars instead of just buying them cash, I actually plan for my next purchase to be a Huracan, because the Huracan is one of my all-time favorite cars. They're absolutely phenomenal looking cars. They're probably my second favorite car in terms of looks to the GTR. and in terms of how they sound, how they perform, everything like that. I absolutely love the car, and so I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to buy a Huracan, and that will be kind of a weekend car for me. Most mods on the car are going to be just the exhaust, and then I'm looking to possibly wrap the car pink because I absolutely love the color pink, although I wouldn't wrap it this color. But I do love the color pink, and so likely what all that would happen to that car is exhaust, maybe minor modifications, and then minor engine modifications, and then wrapping the car pink. That's probably the extent that would happen with that car. It would be my weekend car, the car that I take to meets, the car that I really truly enjoy thoroughly. And then down the road, even further than that, I would look to buy a GTR and then modify that GTR for the drag strip. Obviously, my initial goal horsepower for that car would be about 1,200 wheel horsepower built for the drag strip, and then kind of grow up from there based on how I'm enjoying that power level, because there's different pros and cons for every power level: 1,200, 1,500, 1,700, 2,000, 2,000 plus. And so it'll kind of be a game of where I really like to sit, and then have that car, occasionally take that car out for car meets, car shows, but primarily leave that in the garage and then take that out to the drag strip when I want to go racing and get a nice little adrenaline rush running 8-second quarter miles, and maybe try for even faster than that. So aside from that, I'm not really buying a car between now and that point. I might buy something that's really, a smart move. I really need a car that handles well in inclement weather, at least while I'm living here in Washington. Maybe down the road, sell that. But have the Lancer as a daily that gets good gas mileage. Maybe gets I was thinking like a Subaru SUV of some kind that handles well in the snow, that I can take up to the mountain or just drive anytime the weather decides not to behave. Keep as little money in cars as possible, and then down the road get more into cars with the Huracan and a built GTR. Also, in terms of car meets, I will be attending car meets still from time to time. I'm not really going to be associating too much with the car community just because I don't have a cool car now. And so it's not really something that I feel like I should be associated with. And the car scene up here just is not fantastic. So I will be going to meets. I'll be going to Cars and Coffees and stuff like that from time to time. You just won't see me out at stuff as often. And that's okay. I'm totally fine with that. I'm focusing on other things. I'm focusing on bigger and better things. And I promise you guys that this is the right move for the future for me, and that it might seem sad. A lot of people have been sending me like crying emojis and stuff because they're more emotional about it than I am. But in the grand scheme of things, I promise you guys, I'm happy with the decision. I think it's the best decision. I think going forward, it's going to bring absolutely phenomenal things for myself, for my channel, for my Instagram page, for everything. It's going to be much, much better for me to focus on investing, focus on my future now when I can't enjoy the car scene, and then get back into the car scene when I can enjoy it. And then the third and final thing that I want to talk about is essentially what's the future of primarily my Instagram page, because that's one of my biggest pages, and then also like my YouTube channel and my name and everything like that. So for the time being, there's not going to be a ton of content posted to my Instagram page because I don't have a ton of content left. I'm going to recycle some for the GTR. There are some pictures that I have on my phone that you guys haven't seen yet, and those might be posted. They might not be, but for the time being, we're going to be seeing a lot less content being posted on that page. You're still going to see me post on the story all the time because it's my primary social media, but I'm not really going to be posting all that much. Again, some of this is tentative to change based on what happens going forward, but for the most part, I'm not going to be posting much. I have had a suggestion of I should try to figure out a way to intelligently, I was going to say smartly, but intelligently implement my investing into posts and post about that for a while to see if I can help grow it that way, because I get a lot more outreach on my posts than my stories, which is kind of weird. Instagram decides to throttle my stories a lot, so I'll sometimes get as low as like 300 views on a story, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then randomly I'll get a bunch more views, and it doesn't really make sense. But my posts do consistently well, so maybe finding a way to implement that and advertise my investing server through actual posts. But again, not really certain on that. There's still a lot up in the air when it comes to that. But then when it comes to my name, I've been talking to quite a few people about this because I'm really I wanted to change my Instagram handle, but then I didn't want to change my Instagram handle. And I've been getting advice from both sides. And I feel like the advice that wins out, the advice that was the best advice, is for me to keep my handle, my Instagram page, everything exactly like it is, because that's kind of what I built my brand off of. I mean, people literally know me as Ryan with the GTR, or I've actually been called Ryan Pat T GTR before, and it just wouldn't make sense to drop that and just be like Ryan Pat T or anything. I don't have a replacement name for it. And when it boils down to it, the GTR is the reason why I got into the car scene. It's the reason why I got into the car community. It's the reason why I'm at where I'm at. It is my dream car. It is my favorite car. And so my name is not just an amalgamation of the fact that I owned a GTR. It's the fact that I love GTRs and that I just am all about them, and I want to own one again one day, and I want to build one, and I want that to be the car that I take to the drag strip and I rip 8-second quarter miles. Like, that's the car that I love and that got me into this. And so I feel like it makes sense for me to keep my name the way it is, keep all my handles the same, and just occasionally post content. I might post other types of car content too. Some of that remains to be seen, but the way I like to think about it is like this. All right, let's say that I didn't sell the GTR. Let's say that my side business, the investing business, took off and it started to grow tremendously. And then I ended up buying, aside from the GTR, I ended up buying a Huracan. What would I do then? Well, in that case, I would still keep my name, Ryan Pat T _ GTR, and I would still put decals on the Huracan that say Ryan Pat T _ GTR. Even though I now have a Huracan, which again is a much more expensive car than the GTR and would garner a lot more attention than the GTR, I would have still kept it as Ryan Pat T _ GTR, because that's kind of what I built my brand, what I built my name off of, as well as, again, the GTR is still my favorite car. And so keeping that same principle, I just, instead of adding another car, I'm just taking away a car, and I still feel like that principle applies. So I will be keeping it for the time being. Again, a lot of this is still subject to change if I feel like it's in my best interest to change my username or, buy a different car or something like that. But that's kind of the tentative plan for the time being and what my plan is going forward. If you guys have any thoughts, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comment section, or you can even message me on Instagram. I like hearing opinions about it because, again, a lot of this is up in the air. I'm not set in stone on too much of this other than, selling the car and investing the money. But I'm always open to hear your guys' opinions, your thoughts, everything like that. Feel free to message me. I like getting your guys' messages and thoughts on it. So, and again, I appreciate everybody for reaching out. I really do. I'm doing great. I promise you, I'm doing amazingly. I have such a good outlook on what my future is going to look like that I haven't even been sad about the GTR once. The only thing that I've been sad about is actually since I announced the sale of the GTR, I have actually not only had quite a few people unfollow me, but I've also had quite a few people who I thought I respected unfollow me immediately after selling the GTR. And these are people that I thought were, more along the lines of friends than people who were just interested in the GTR. So that was kind of interesting to see. I feel like that's the best way to word it. That was interesting to see that people were literally that finicky and unfollowed that quickly, but it is what it is. But I thank everybody again for all the support. You guys have been amazing on Instagram, on YouTube, even on Twitter. I really appreciate all the support I've been given. There's great things coming, I promise you, and it will be worth the wait. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. And as always, have a nice day.